Hello and welcome. You're watching QTV and you are watching The Week in Review. I'm Ade Darami, your host, and across the table, friend and colleague, Mr. Mamadou Mbodj. Mr. Mbodj, as ever, welcome to the program.
Cheers, Ade.
And regular viewers will know that's our usual welcome to the program. And for those who are not regular viewers, it's called The Week in Review because we review some of the stories, interesting, big, whatever you want to call them, from the week just gone by. And we kick them around. Some we spend a bit more time on than others. And if it looks like we're spending a lot of time on some, it really is meant to be that way, okay? So you're probably asking, what's on the menu then? Well, His Excellency the President and his party became the first of the parties to launch their manifesto. Elections all the way back in December before, but there's no time like the present, I guess they thought, and they've launched it. Also, Gambians against looted assets. This time they're not complaining about looted assets unless they're talking about looted light. It's about the water and electricity problems that have been plaguing all of us, and I mean all of us. Also at the National Assembly, they could not have a quorum on a particular day, and so business had to be suspended. Why? I won't tell you now. Wait and you'll find out. Also, Day of the African Child, commemorated again on the 16th of June as usual. And this year, an interesting theme, but we'll also delve into how this day came to be and what's the significance of it now. And in Ghana, they just held a huge forum about kind of pushing for reparations for slavery, particularly for the transatlantic slave trade. This spilled over from a Ghanaian initiative that was put to the National Assembly, not the National Assembly, the General Assembly at the United Nations, and a vote was taken. And we'll get onto that. Also, of course, if you're a football fan, and even if you're not, you're probably aware that the World Cup is up and running. We look at Cape Verde, but generally we look at the African teams really. But their story, I guess, is a kind of special one because of their size and how we might, in the Gambia, relate to that. And next door, as in Senegal, the Constitutional Court has kicked out the attempt to say that Ousmane Sonko should not be the president of the Assembly, which he is now. And also, our National Assembly, the Speaker, was recently in South Africa for a general meeting and a conference which featured speakers from different assemblies around Africa and actually from the Commonwealth. And some political party cadres, people from various political parties, or one political party rather, they went to China to learn about governance. And we'll see, is there anything China can teach us with such a different system? We'll find out. And finally, World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought was commemorated on the 17th of June. And we'll look at what that means for our region and, of course, for our country. So those are the 10 stories. So let's get things up and running. His Excellency the President and his party, the National People's Party, launched their manifesto. But it wasn't just any manifesto. Have a look, have a listen.
The party plans to build on achievements recorded between 2022 and 2026 through investments in governance reforms, job creation, agriculture, tourism, infrastructure, health, education, and youth empowerment. The launch also featured the unveiling of several digital innovations, including the NPP mobile app, Barrow AI, Ask Barrow AI, and an interactive party website to improve access to information and engagement with citizens. The manifesto is also available in audio formats in local languages and through sign language interpretation, making it more inclusive.
We've also made every effort to simplify the language. We're not writing for technical experts. So we know it's the people's document and we made the language simple enough.
Today, the transformative results of our interventions are visible across the country. Gambians and non-Gambians alike are witnesses to the vast construction of first-class roads in every region of the country. And most of these are either transformed bumpy roads or old ones that made movement a nightmare. Communities that had never had access to electricity are now connected to the national grid. Health facilities are available in every Gambian district. Schools have multiplied with improved learning outcomes. Digital connectivity is growing faster than expected.
Faster than expected digital connectivity, Mr. Mbod. Not just a manifesto, as I said, not just any manifesto, 9-point plan, keep it nice and simple. You have various digital apps, website, and various digital platforms that were launched at the same time. Quite a splash. And he's kind of taken a jump on all the others. And they'll be thinking, we need to catch up with that, Mr. Mbod.
Absolutely. It seems as if the campaign season has officially gotten its momentum, as it were. So now the question will be, wow, how would this now shape the narrative, as it were, the discussion? How would it affect other parties? Now, what would they have to do?
And that's the point, isn't it? Because when you are the incumbent, you have your record to either rely on or say to the public, look, I've shown what I can do. The others are just making promises, some of which... So it's easy to kind of bat people off if you can by saying, look, here's my record. I can do more of this if you elect me again, because of course he's going for a third election. And so, as I said, he's kind of thrown down the gauntlet, both in the breadth of what was there. Our colleague Ali Cisse, who went there, said, it was quite impressive to see, not just the fact that it was a manifesto, 9-point plan, you had various speakers come up and talk. And I like the fact that this chap said, we've simplified the language. God, if only everybody would simplify the language of their manifestos. So a lot of thought seems to have gone into it.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that we've taken the initiative, just as you said, with the incumbent and what they do, and yes, because they've got action, as it were. There's something there that people can judge, whereas with the opposition, there's nothing there, really, they can't. But this is the key, isn't it? This is why it is said that incumbents lose elections. Oppositions don't win them. So they really need to mess up so much that people will say, enough is enough, just as what happened in 2016. So this is it. So now, yes, just as we said there, the inclusivity, the accessibility, these are the terms now. So sign language version will be there, and local language version will be there. And then, wow, is this sort of will kickstart a kind of AI-driven politics with the apps, the NPP mobile app, Barrow AI, Ask Barrow AI, and an interactive website, and that sort of thing.
That's right.
So this is it now. In the next few days and weeks, I suppose, we'll be going into the details, obviously, and stuff like that. But for me, something else came up. In our report, we said government officials were there.
Yeah, I was going to raise that because one of our colleagues went somewhere to cover another program, and both the minister and I think the Perm Sec said, we have to give a quick speech because we want to be there for the launch. And I'm not sure whether the Perm Sec should have been doing that. I won't out them, but I think that Perm Sec probably wasn't the only one who did that.
And when we say government officials, broad, isn't it? So ministers, presidential advisors, other political appointees, fine, they can engage in partisan politics, but there are certain appointments. Well, the tradition, the kind of democracy, our tradition, civil servants must not.
They should be apolitical.
They should be apolitical. We should say that. In the same vein, here we've got Deputy Speaker.
Yes.
The Speaker, really, the Deputy Speaker, we treat you more or less the same as the Speaker, really. It's really supposed to be a neutral role.
Indeed.
How can you have the spokesperson of a party being Deputy Speaker? We see that in Africa, we didn't say that, but we want to compare ourselves with the best. The best democracies, if you can put it that way, advanced democracies. You don't see that. Once you appoint the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, for instance, in Britain, he resigns from party activities.
That's right.
There's no such thing, you cannot do that.
That's right.
So what would this do to the perception of neutrality
Well, indeed.
in the parliament, in our National Assembly? And these things matter in the end.
They do, particularly as we were saying, or as they were saying at the event about how they had strengthened democracy in the Gambia. And then these things actually kind of kick against that, saying, well, you know, you might say that, but then this should not happen. This should not happen. You know, officials, civil servants, senior civil servants should not be there. You know, some of them might be thinking, if I'm not there, I might lose my job. But what does that say about the system if that is the fear that they have?
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah.
So yes, this is the system that is. We're trying to move away from this.
Indeed.
In fact, in Barrow's speech, the emphasis was on continuity.
Yes.
So we felt that we've done the transformation.
Yep.
Say there's no transformation.
Yeah.
So that will be a question that voters, the electorate will answer.
Well, indeed.
That do we want continuity?
Sure.
Or the transformation is incomplete.
Well, indeed,
It
yes.
must go on.
Quite.
That sort of thing. Maybe if we had truly a transformation, maybe we wouldn't have certain positions, people in certain positions being political.
Indeed.
That was really a Yahya Jammeh style of government.
Quite.
So the transformation, yes, perhaps we are on a path, and in some
it's-
areas, obviously, anybody can see difference in some areas. But I'm not sure whether this transformation is uniform across all sectors. Perhaps there are certain areas that we're not doing that well.
It'd be very interesting to see, and it also has kind of thrown down the gauntlet to the others, like, can they make as big a splash with their manifestos? We wait and see.
Oh, absolutely. We can't wait. I'm sure that by Monday, for instance, especially on our drive time on Q Radio,
There's bound to be a
this
response.
will be, you know, start looking into it. And that's it. Let them all bring out their manifestos.
That's right.
And then we discuss with the citizens who are going to vote.
Yeah.
We discuss and see which one we prefer. Each would vote for your preference.
Yes, I've asked for a copy of it, and just to show you how sad an individual I am, I'll probably be reading it.
But you don't have a choice. That's work.
It's work.
For some people, that is work.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have an option there.
Quite. Thank you for that, Mr. Mboch. Now the next one, again, this is the kind of thing that, you know, in an election year, some might see as a complete disaster. What am I talking about? The problems people have had accessing stable electricity and a stable water supply. And so Gala, Gambians Against Looted Assets, took to the streets to protest about it. Have a look, have a listen.
As ongoing water and electricity shortages continue to affect many communities within the Greater Banjul area, protesters gathered to demand a reliable supply of both essential services. They argued that the persistent disruptions are negatively impacting the lives and livelihoods of Gambians, and called on the authorities to provide a lasting solution to the crisis within 10 days. The protesters sought to draw attention to what they describe as a prolonged crisis, requiring urgent government intervention and a greater accountability from the National Water and Electricity Company, NAWEC.
The reason I am out here is not just because of the lack of electricity or whatsoever, but I just want to tell the Gambian people and the authorities out there that we are suffering. We are suffering not because of the lack of electricity, but we are suffering because the businesses are going down. The woman who is selling fish at the fish market doesn't have even the ice block to freeze or to preserve those fish to make sure that she will be selling that continuously.
So first I would like to acknowledge what they have brought, and I can appreciate the frustration that people are going through because lack of electricity, and I feel it too, and everybody else feels it. But the good thing is they've done it in peace, and they've come and expressed their minds. We really appreciate that, and it's like the issue that is at hand right now, we are working 24/7 to try to address it.
Mr. Mboch, working 24/7 to try and address it. But for myself and others, as he said there, chap from NAWEC, Gallo, even he is affected by it. I guess it's not picky who it affects, but nonetheless, we don't get a sense that anybody has been upfront and honest as to why now and why so badly at this very point. because the reason they took to the streets is the extreme nature of what people are having to endure. And we heard from the young man there, the protester, he gave an example, and that's not a kind of apocryphal thing. We can very much kind of relate to it, can't we?
Oh, absolutely. We may be a slight contradiction there when you said it's not the power cuts per se, but this woman, there's no ice.
It is
actually,
the power cut.
It is the power cut.
Exactly.
But, you know,
exactly.
but I suppose what he meant to say was the consequences.
Is what is
absolutely,
why.
that's really what he's focusing on. So this is it. We were given what can I say, 4 pillars, 4 reasons, broad reasons why this sudden breakdown. The reduced import, the maintenance, the fuel challenges, and the spare parts delays, essentially, wasn't it? So on drive time, I spoke to Buba Baji, the communication expert, and then I asked him, which one was the single biggest factor? He said they were all equally challenging, that sort of thing. So this will be interesting. But then he said during that, now we virtually solved it. I think this was on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. In fact, what I did was, afterwards, I said, okay, now I'm going to go home and watch the World Cup. I went home, it wasn't there. And last night, at least Bruceby Phase 1, to be specific, because I do not think that the severity of it affects everywhere uniformly.
Exactly,
it doesn't work like that. I think some areas are more severely affected than others.
Indeed.
Well, where I lived, it was a nightmare. I couldn't sleep, and sometimes the light will come on 3-4 seconds out again.
Oh, no.
Then it goes on for another few hours. So you get the sense that are they fixing something and then testing it, and then it doesn't work. Then you keep on fixing other things. So this is it. You need to be honest to people.
Yeah, quite.
Then you can gain some sympathy.
Yeah, indeed.
When one gets the sense that what you're saying is not the truth. You see, you come on air, you say one thing, but again, I go home and experience something entirely different. You undermine your credibility. You destroy, really, trust. You diminish it, to say the very least, trust. So this is it. On the one hand, they feel the need for this spin doctrine,
to have to say something.
To have to say something and something positive. Never mind what the reality is. But again, people will feel it. You're not going to get away with it, really. People have their experiences of things.
Especially if you tell people, give us 14 days, and then the 14 days come and they pass, and there's no change. Then people, as you said, that breakdown in trust is what they very much risk losing.
Absolutely. And Gala, from looted assets now to really everything, they seem to have broadened the remit, as it were, just a general civil society organization tackling social whatever issues, as it were, even though initially
it was looted assets. They might need to change the name.
That sort of thing. So yes, peaceful demonstration, it's a good thing. That's what should happen. So that's it. Allow people to demonstrate peacefully, and then that dynamic. That's really where democracy takes place.
Indeed, very much. Thank you for that, Mr. Mboch. And of course, interestingly, it took place at the same time as the manifesto was being launched.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. Story number 3, the National Assembly, of course, the nation's parliament. If you're not in the Gambia, here it's called the National Assembly. And they went on Monday for business, and business could not be conducted. Why? I won't spoil it for you. Have a look, have a listen.
Under the rules of the National Assembly, at least 29 lawmakers must be present for proceedings to continue. However, only 21 members were in the chamber when the sitting commenced, forcing Deputy Speaker C.D. S.K. Njai adjourn sittings until tomorrow. The adjournment delayed the consideration of several important bills, including the first reading of the Labour Amendment Bill 2026 and the Criminal Procedure Amendment Bill 2026. Also on the agenda were the second reading of the Gambia Immigration Bill 2026 and the continuation of the consideration stage of the Intellectual Property Bill 2025. Honorable J.B. Mbalo of Lower Fuladu West accused members of the minority caucus of deliberately boycotting the sitting. But the allegation was rejected by Kemo Gassama of Lower Badibu, who denied any organized boycott by the minority.
But if you go to the other side, it's only 3 members. And we see them, we greet each other this morning. They are within the corridors, and we are getting information. You see, we must leave personalities outside and understand that we have a duty to do, that is to serve the interests of the people.
How can we boycott the session when we are here already? We are not boycotting the session. We are having a meeting at our level. But it's not that we are not boycotting the session. In fact, we are about to come. We are on our way coming, we learned that the speaker has adjourned the session.
We learned the speaker has adjourned the session. That made me smile. If you were to have your meeting, why could you not have had it after parliamentary business? You had it at a time when you knew that you had to be in the chamber and there had to be a quorum. But you don't do that. And then you said, no, if you're not in the chamber, you might as well be on Mars, really. And so the accusation that there was a boycott, I'm not sure they refuted it successfully. But what does this say about us? That, on a Monday when, people expect their National Assembly members to be there attending to business, not enough of them are there to form even a quorum.
That's it. So when you said that they were on their way, then I thought, how long was it the lapse between when they were supposed to start?
And do they sound division bells here? Maybe not. Because in the British Parliament, they sound the division bells, and you know that you need to be in the chamber. I don't know what this is.
But I would like to think that they knew what time they were supposed to set.
Of course.
So how long between that time and when you are making your way back to the chamber?
Quite.
We need to know that so that we can perhaps evaluate this.
Yeah,
so this is it. The question for me was this lethargy or strategy?
Quite. I mean, the cynical minds, if you read what's, I always say avoid social media and don't let it sway you. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people thought it was strategy. They thought, but I thought, why these particular bills? I'm not sure there's anything particularly contentious about them. Yes, they're important. But I looked at them, I thought, there's nothing contentious. So why would they adopt a strategy to kind of thwart these bills? They're only going to be brought back anyway, and they'll have to be addressed and debated.
But here, this is my suspicion, because afterwards, Elijah Darboe, National Assembly member Elijah S. Darboe, tabled a motion to have Sidin Jai, the Deputy Speaker, removed.
Yeah, quite.
Because of apparently the video that went viral,
video and audio.
The audio of what he said. Mm-hmm. So now it appears as if the boycott, they simply didn't want Sidi Jai to sit.
Yeah, go on.
And their argument is this: there's a petition before the parliament, so he should recuse himself.
Indeed.
That was the thing. So I think that's the angle,
yes.
The reason why I thought of either lethargy or strategy.
Yes.
There was a suggestion, people
Indeed.
have said it, that it was a boycott. Mm-mm. It was a deliberate decision not to go because of that, even though it wasn't said earlier.
Yes.
Just as Jibin Balo said they were here. We saw them, but they didn't come into the chamber.
Right.
So to me, that gives it some credibility that there was that strategizing of the minority. No, we're not going to go.
Yeah, and of course, the reason CD had to sit there, we'll find out later, because there's a story relating to that, is because the speaker was out of the country.
Absolutely.
He was in South Africa.
Yes, so that's really what the issue is.
Yeah, quite. So that could well have been it. But it never happened. Yeah, thank you for that. Story number 4, Day of the African Child, commemorated every year on the 16th of June. And the reason for that might become clear in this story. And if not, it will become clear in our discussions. Have a look, have a listen.
This year's theme, ensuring universal access to water, sanitation and hygiene for every child in Africa, highlights the importance of safe drinking water, adequate sanitation and proper hygiene as essential services for children's health, education and development.
Here in the Gambia, there is reason for hope. Through national leadership, community action, and sustained investment, 99% of communities have now been declared open defecation free. But the work is not finished. According to SDG 6 data on water and sanitation, only 48% of the population uses safely managed drinking water. Only 28% uses safely managed sanitation. And just 12% have a hand washing facility with soap and water at home.
So, somebody from Nafisa bin Shafiq there, still a long way to go. But as I said in the intro there, you and I know there's a reason why this particular day is the day. And what is that reason?
Oh, absolutely. The Soweto uprisings, 1976, on the 16th.
Yeah,
that's the why.
That's right.
Sort of, they selectively chose 16th
Yep.
to make it the Day of the African Child.
Indeed.
Or in South Africa, apartheid South Africa, young people wouldn't know how it was.
Well, that's right.
That's it. So the South African apartheid government said it was going to introduce Afrikaans.
As the language of instruction.
The language of the oppressor.
Yeah, quite.
So the black people in the townships, Johannesburg, where this happened,
yeah.
they said, no, it is not going to happen. So they went out and they were shot, they were killed, massacred. And that image of, was it Peter something? Like famous.
Yes,
absolutely. We all remember them being carried and the sister running along. That was the iconic picture, wasn't it? Just as with the iconic picture with the atom bomb, that girl running in Nagasaki, Hiroshima.
So there's that iconic photograph. There's iconic footage of a young man being shot, and you see him hold his back as the bullet goes through him, and it was confirmed that he was killed. And that sparked it. And for everybody, that was a kind of pivotal thing. The revulsion that it caused. Some people say, eventually kind of upped the ante of people across the world, including those who had previously supported the apartheid government, turning away or turning against them.
Absolutely. It was a turning point. I mean, we marked it back in school before this day was declared the Day of the African Child. But even with us, it was the direct context of Soweto uprisings, what happened, and all of us would give speeches and there would be discussions. We did that before 1991 when this was introduced. So this is it. And then you wonder, that spirit of these young men going out fighting for their rights and all of that.
Sure.
Is that spirit still alive?
Where is it now?
Is it now? And for governments and everybody else, what have we done, as it were, to ensure that the young people get their rights? We respect their rights. You know what I mean? Not simply be at the mercy, as it were, of grown-ups. That's really what it is. Otherwise, you are at the mercy of grown-ups. They can feel that because of the term, my child, my this. But you don't really own the child. The whole community owns the child. That is why the law comes in. There's so much you can do. I just cannot do anything I want to my child. The law says, no, you don't own the human being. So this is the key. But in Gambia, yes, as the lady said there, Shafiq, yes, we've made progress. I mean, when you think of about really child health, there's some progress in there. Immunization, we're getting 90%, that sort of thing. School access, child rights. We have that, absolutely. But then, child marriage is still around. Child labor is still around. Violence against kids, corporal punishment, it's still around. So there are few things around, but it's heartening, I have to say this, that there is progress, but there's just so much to be done.
There's a lot.
And it's difficult because of our cultural norms. So I, to some extent, feel sorry for governments. Because what you're dealing with, the values, these sort of values, we are not quite like that, because we are, even when I'm hitting my child to death, I'm doing it for the child good. See? So it's always going to be difficult, to be quite honest.
It's always going to be a problem. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I must admit, one of the things that shocked me was the level of child labor when I came to the Gambia. And nobody watching this has to take my word for it. Just drive on any school day when children should be at school to see how many children are out on the streets selling everything from cashew nuts to groundnuts to lemons and apples and everything else. Huge numbers.
Absolutely. The taxis, the vans, kids, the apprentices, mechanics. You have lots of young people there. I spoke to the Minister of Gender, Honorable Fatou Kinte, and she was like, well, they could be learning skills in these places, which I agree that is very true. but it's really that in their best interest.
Well, indeed, yeah.
You see, education, give them opportunities. There are perhaps other areas where they could have been genius.
I was going to say, because then
that's
they have the
nature
choice.
Of education. They have a choice.
Them.
That's really what the issue is,
Quite.
as it were. We should be strict about child labor.
Yeah, sure.
The only reason it's going on is just the nature of our society.
Yeah, sure.
It's again what people do when we deal with that.
That's right.
But we all know that that is not the ideal at all. So we're accepting it because we really do not have any solutions to it.
Indeed. Thank you for that. As the parents always say, if you take my child to school, who's going to be out on the street selling and bringing money into the family?
Absolutely.
That's what you have to deal
Sacrificing the child's longer term
future for
the short term.
Yeah.
So that's why you admire some parents. It's extraordinary in very modest circumstances, but they'll insist, my child will go to school, they took on extra burden. So I admire that more, because the simple version, or who would provide, I understand that. But the admirable stuff is elsewhere.
Indeed, well said. Thank you for that. And next, story number 5, which will also take us to the break after this. And Ghana recently held a summit on reparations. Reparations for what? Well, for the transatlantic slave trade, really. And all this, I won't spoil it for you. Have a look, have a listen.
Accra became the center of a historic conversation on justice and accountability as Ghana hosted a 3-day international conference on reparations for slavery. Leaders from Africa and the Caribbean, along with scholars and activists, gathered to discuss practical measures for addressing the lasting impact of the transatlantic slave trade. The conference comes months after the United Nations adopted on the 25th of March 2026 a landmark resolution proposed by describing the slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. Supported by 123 member states, the resolution calls on countries involved in the trade to engage in restitution and compensation, marking one of the strongest international endorsements yet for reparatory justice. President John Mahama announced the creation of a 3-week working panel to advance the reparations agenda. The group will focus on political leadership, restitution mechanisms, and the legal framework needed to support future claims. Among the prominent speakers was Nigerian Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, who argued that reparations must extend beyond apologies and financial compensations. He said true justice requires restoring human dignity and confronting the legacy of dehumanization.
Mr. Mboj, this is quite an uphill struggle, I think it's likely to be. Just the day before this conference, I heard them speaking to somebody from a fairly senior bishop from the Church of England. And he said, we should not pay reparations. He went so far to say, I'm fed up about hearing this call, and we can't keep apologizing forever. And so that's from a very senior bishop. And he was quoted, he wasn't saying, withhold my name. I wish I'd made a note of the name. And I was driving, and it came on the BBC World Service as I was listening. And he was quite sort of bullish about it. Said, no, we shouldn't apologize anymore, let alone reparations. So uphill struggle, but this is not just Ghana's fight. And we saw how many people voted for it. We saw the 3 who voted against it. No surprises who they were. But Africa, the Caribbean, and non-African countries come together, 123 countries also came and said, yeah, they supported this. Yeah.
Yes, Eddie, the mood with the guilty parties. Right now, yes, the mood. And the way they think about it, really, it is never said. Hey, look, you people, you are backward. In fact, with all of that we did to you, slavery or whatever, that was actually civilizing in a funny kind of way.
Somebody actually said that in one of the comments.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually.
Yes.
Actually said that.
We fought, we came, we saw that we were stronger than you.
Yeah.
Then we took advantage.
Yeah.
To them, that is okay.
Yeah.
So we are dealing with different value systems in many ways.
Absolutely.
So what we're doing, I suppose in their eyes, we're just being wet. We're just being crybabies for losing in the past. That's really what it is. Shayinka got it there. This pain wouldn't go. elsewhere. This is Sonia's line.
Yeah.
Justice is the first condition of humanity. That was why, for him, it's not simply about financial reparation. It's not simply about apologies. It is about justice and dignity. With him, it goes that deep, really. So with this Ghana's effort, Africa's effort, the Caribbean, all of us really, it got this impetus from the recognition by the UN.
Indeed, indeed.
The recognition of slavery being what the greatest crime against humanity. So on the basis of that, then you can go and claim reparations and all the rest of it. But how many resolutions are there in the UN?
Get ignored?
How many against Israel, for instance? What has happened
vetoed.
in the end? What has happened? In the end, it's always about power.
Indeed.
What power is willing to cede. That's it. Either that, or I become powerful myself and insist on it. If I do not have power, there's claims to moral sensibility, I don't know, universal values and all these ideas. It depends on whether it's in their interest.
Indeed.
The rogue elephant now. We've seen what Trump in the US, what it is doing to these values. In Europe, we'll see what they will do to immigrants.
Yes.
So now things are sort of unraveling. We are beginning to see, we've always said that they were hypocrites.
Well, indeed.
Now they're proving it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant.
It doesn't suit them anymore. That's how they will think.
Well,
now all that post-1945 war order is not in our interest anymore. So we're going to smash it to smithereens.
Indeed.
That's really what's going on.
Well, thank you. Countries that signed up for the International Court of Human Rights withdrawing from it. How ironic can you get?
They established the order. But now some political commentators will tell you the rise of China, it was never the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union was never really a challenge. You know what I mean? The rise of China that is really rattling the West right now. That supremacy they had, now they're being rattled by this. Then you're seeing all the symptoms, as it were. Would it be Thucydides, the trap? With the rise in power versus an established power. Then that's the space for conflict.
Indeed.
Potential conflict.
I think we're almost there, but thank you. And that takes us to a break. And after the break, we will have 5 more stories. So do not go away. Join a commercial break. You are still watching QTV and you are still watching The Week in Review. I'm Adi Darami. And the gentleman across the table is Mr. Mamadou Mbodj. Mr. Mbodj, thank you for your interjections thus far.
Cheers.
Story number 6. World Cup is on. It got up and running during the week just gone by. And one of the kind of romantic stories has been that of Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, whichever you prefer to use. They made their debut against all odds, one has to say, and so far have given quite a good acquittal of themselves. Have a look, have a listen.
If the world needed a feel-good football story right now, this might just be it. Out in the Atlantic Ocean, a small island nation of just over 500,000 people is preparing for the biggest tournament on Earth. Cape Verde is now heading to the FIFA World Cup.
For a nation scattered across 10 volcanic islands off Africa's west coast, this feels almost unimaginable. Cape Verde is one of the smallest countries ever to reach football's biggest stage. The Blue Sharks stunned African football when they topped their qualifying group ahead of Cameroon. Ahead of the World Cup, the national team toured the islands greeted by emotional crowds. From Praia to Mindelo, football became a symbol of pride and unity. Despite limited resources, Cape Verde has punched above its weight, reaching the Africa Cup of Nations quarterfinals on debut in 2013 and again in 2023.
Punching above its weight. I mentioned this and I brought this story, as I said at the beginning of the program, not just about Cape Verde, but about the fact that we have 10 African countries. You have little Cape Verde being thrown into the lion's den, a trial by fire, ordeal by fire, in the sense that their first game was against Spain, who, according to the bookmakers, are favorites to win. And just to give people some further context before I bring you in, Mr. Mbodj, when Agbonlahor former Aston Villa footballer, was a pundit on one of the stations, and they said, "We're about to kick off. Give us your prediction for the match." He said, "Oh, I expect about 7-0 to Spain." That was the sentiment. Of course, it ended 0-0, and the rest is history. But as I said, it's not just about Cape Verde, it's about the other African countries as well.
The beautiful game.
Indeed. Jogo Benito.
I think this is why it is really the beautiful game.
Absolutely.
The race is not to the swift. These things we go back to, these things that we learned at high school. Then this is the wonderful thing about sport.
Quite.
You cannot predict. It's just so simple as that. And what we've been seeing in recent, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years ago, I don't know. It seems as if the gap's been narrowing.
Sure.
Because more of our players sort of play in their leagues.
That's right.
And a good number of them were even born there. They had the benefit of the good systems that they, over there. So when they come and play for us, then it improves, as it were. So there are a good number of reasons why the gap's been narrowing.
Sure.
And what happened with Morocco as well, and with Brazil.
Yes.
This
Look at Bouadi, who has been the playmaker for Morocco, 18-year-old, and everybody's already describing him as the breakout star. Born in Paris, could have played for France, and only 3 months ago pledged allegiance to Morocco because both his parents are Moroccan. And look now, as I said, in 2 games, he's been the star of the World Cup as far as many people are concerned. So yeah, absolutely.
So this is it. For us now, we can see this massive improvement, this massive narrowing of the gap.
Sure.
For us now, really, we've got a semi-finalist. We experienced that the last time. Really, for us now, the challenge for everybody, at least get to the final, and then we'll see what happens on the final. Anything can happen.
Sure.
So that must be the push.
Sure.
We just can't be satisfied with, we got to the quarters, now we've broken that ceiling. We got to the semis, now the ambition must be to go much further, much higher.
Sure.
Well, small nation, what does it mean really? You could be small but have broad shoulders
and
as
big
they
ambitions.
say, big ambitions.
Quite.
Especially the nature of sports, the nature of these things. That is why sometimes you'll see a star emerge, but from really a small country.
Well, this is it, and
it's the
one of
nature
the things,
of the world now.
and I have to say this on record, one of the things that I'm always arguing with my Gambian friends is that, and I think I mentioned it on one of the programs, I drove by the National Stadium a week before last, and I came back on the Monday and I said, oh wow, it looks like they've really done improvement. And one of our colleagues said, oh, this is Gambia, it will never get finished, it will never be up to standard. And I said, you know what, if everybody had that attitude, the Gambia would not even exist as a country. But it was because you had Gambians who thought, no, in spite of the improbability of it, the famous thing, we shall exist and prosper. And yes, there are challenges. Who says there aren't any? But yet people had to think beyond the narrow confines and the narrow-mindedness of saying, oh, we're small Gambia, we can't do anything, we can't be anything. Yes, we can. And Cape Verde showing that, Curaçao showing that,
Absolutely, the potential is obviously there.
It's there.
And that's why people make a distinction between cynicism and skepticism. Maybe a skeptic would have said, I doubt it, but we'll see. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, even though I doubt it. A cynic will outright tell you, never.
It will never happen. It never happen.
They are dangerous. I don't like being around cynics. It doesn't matter how dire things are. I need to hold on to a ray of hope.
Indeed.
Otherwise, what is the point? I'll just go and chew a bullet if there's no hope, and hope is completely extinguished.
Indeed.
What am I doing living? What am I doing anything? Why should I try anything when it's completely dead? So cynicism, it deadens things. It's utterly unwholesome. You know what I mean? Skepticism is not bad because of our past experiences. We think that, well, I'm not sure about that, but I still have an open mind. We give them the benefit of the doubt and see what happens. I think that's not bad.
Not bad at all. And before I heard this quote about 2 months ago. My favorite football quote used to be Alex Ferguson, football bloody hell. But then I read this quote where a German trainer, Eberhard, was asked, so why is it that football is so popular? He said, because people go to the match not knowing what will happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful.
And I thought it was excellent. So thank you for that, Mr. Mboj. Story number 7 takes us next door as in Senegal. the country that has Gambia in a geographical embrace. And many of us have been following the Faye Usman Sonko shenanigans, the fallout. First of all, it was the love affair, and then now not so much. And some opposition members who had been told, don't waste your time bringing this case, it won't get anywhere, tried to stop Usman Sonko's latest promotion, let's put it that way. Have a look, have a listen.
On Wednesday, Senegal's Constitutional Council declined to hear a challenge filed by opposition figures seeking to overturn Sonko's return to parliament. The court said it did not have the authority to rule on the matter, effectively bringing the legal challenge to an end. For many Senegalese, Sonko remains a central figure in the political movement, PASTEF, that swept President Faye to power in 2024 after legal barriers prevented him from contesting the presidency himself. The alliance between the two men was once seen as a powerful force for political change. However, differences over governance and economic policy, both at the party and central government level, have increasingly strained that relationship in recent months.
Not only has it strained it, Mr. Mboj, as we speak, an IMF team landed in Senegal on Friday to negotiate and carry on negotiations that had broken down, the very thing that Sonko did not want. Our colleague there says he's a central figure in PASTEF. Well, he's the president of PASTEF, he's the president of the National Assembly, and of course, he probably hopes one day he'll be president of the country, although he was asked this by France 24, and he said, it's not up to me to choose, the party will choose. He said, but I think we know who they'll choose. So he kind of answered the question without directly answering it. But on the more kind of serious note, the relationship has broken down, and now people are waiting to see. He's gone on record as to say, I won't do anything to deliberately thwart any of the government program. But if I think there is something that is against the interests of the Senegalese people, I will, of course, use my power to make sure it doesn't go through.
And you believe him, man. I'm not so sure about that. This was very interesting. For me, the basis that the opposition filed as it were, this appeal to the Constitutional Court, just to get a sense of how Senegal, how it does its constitutional arrangement. So apparently, when he was appointed Prime Minister, so that sort of, in their view, there was a kind of relinquishment.
Of this, that's right, an assembly member.
National Assembly member.
Yep.
So they call it the incompatibility principle and that sort of thing.
That's right.
Now the Constitutional Court says no.
We can't even hear the case.
That sort of thing.
That's right.
So now this is the thing. Has it settled it, or would the opposition find new avenues of coming back?
One does wonder, because I've been following the case, and as I'd said about 2-3 weeks before, legal minds who were arguing the case on Senegalese TV had said, look, don't even go forward with this, because even if you think you can succeed there, they have 130 out of 165 seats. They'll find a way around it, and it's just be a waste of everybody's time. Don't do it. But they wanted to do it on a point of principle.
Absolutely.
That even if they thought they were going to lose, they at least wanted it heard. But now the court said, we can't even hear it. We don't have the jurisdiction.
So what has it done? Has it strengthened Sonko personally? Or was it Parliament? I don't know. That sort of thing. But what effect would it have? I wonder. So, and it is a good point. Would Sonko sort of like seek to influence government policy or obstruct it?
Yeah, quite.
That's an open question. We really do not know what's going to happen. Indeed. Already we all know the background. Of course, love affairs, after the honeymoon, or the pain. So, and sometimes when it goes nasty, it goes nasty.
As I said, after the wedding ring, the suffering, you know. But yeah, I mean, on a serious note, as you said, you know, we now look very closely as to what the next steps will be. because, on the past pages, they were saying, look, this is exactly what we thought would happen. And we did tell them not to bother with it, and they're kind of crowing about it. But at the same time, they've launched this Sonko for 2029 campaign, and he's not discouraged it. And that was one of the questions he was asked. He said, yes, I'm aware lots of people are campaigning for me to contest. And then he was asked pointedly, do you think Jomai will contest? He said, it's not for me to answer.
Absolutely.
And he's right.
So really, for the sake of Senegal, really, can we see here what they call cohabitation-style politics?
Or to use their French, rapprochement.
Absolutely, between Faye and Sonko.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you have one controlling parliament going really to obstruct Faye's agenda, in the end, Senegal will lose.
Will lose because they still have the situation where a president can do things by decree, should he choose to. But of course, they'll use that against him as being anti-democratic. But the law allows that. So that is the danger.
What will happen. But I think they've had enough experience.
Yeah,
they've never had a break, as it were, from democracy.
Quite.
So I am hopeful. I've got this stubborn optimism, if I can call it that, that they will work it out.
Yeah, quite. Yes.
And Senegal wouldn't suffer much. I think they've learned the institutional memory within Senegal, democratic memory.
Yeah, quite.
I think we'll see them through, even though there'll be lots of wobbles.
Yeah, quite. Lots of wobbles.
Along the way.
Let's hope they swerve those wobbles. Thank you for that, Mr. Mboji. Story number 8, which after that we'll be left with 2 more stories if you're new to the program. And we're talking about Senegal's National Assembly. This one is the shorter story. Our National Assembly Speaker, Fabakary Tombong Jatta, is currently in South Africa, and he chaired one of the sessions of various speakers of various parliaments. Have a look, have a listen.
The Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth Africa region, known as CSPOC, is one of the continent's most important parliamentary forums. Held under the auspices of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, it brings together heads of national and subnational legislatures from 63 institutions across Africa. The conference provides a platform for parliamentary leaders to exchange experiences and promote the principles of impartiality, fairness, transparency, and effective governance. Addressing delegates, Speaker Jatta emphasized that public trust remains the cornerstone of democracy and that parliaments have a responsibility to ensure that their legislative processes are open, accountable, and responsive to the needs of the people they serve.
We were talking about swerving wobbles in the previous story. One of the ones here was that although this was about parliamentary speakers and it was about strengthening democracy, some speakers actually got up, because it was held in South Africa, and addressed the matter of xenophobia. I mean, and they got a round of applause for doing so. But not enough of them did it, I have to say. I think only 2 did. To say that, look, South Africa's parliament must speak out with a louder voice than it has done thus far about these xenophobic attacks. But apart from that, it was about cooperation, it was about sharing ideas and best practice across the board. And as I said, one of the sessions was chaired by Fabakary Tombong Jatta.
Yes, as it should be. We have to be constantly talking, isn't it, really? Sure. Exchanging best practice, that sort of thing. Sure. It is really very important. But after you've agreed on things, on terms, and made recommendations, what happens afterwards?
Yeah, because when I looked at it, they all have very different systems that they're working to. Some have, members of parliament, and in some countries only members of parliament can be government ministers and so on. And, so it's quite, it's not the same kind of one size fits all. So yes, they might be doing some things that you can say, maybe I should take that back, because what they've done a report of the kind of best practice that they kind of say, this might be something that might be worth emulating. And of course, we'll see. I'm not sure what the Gambia put forward, but
Such bodies, they agree based on consensus.
Yeah, quite.
So nothing radical will come out of this. Everything will have to be compromised. You have to listen to the lowest common denominator.
True.
And when you agree, whatever, it's not going to be uniformly applied. So those countries that are determined to make a difference, they will make a difference. So it just depends on the political will of individual countries, really. Sure. And the panel, the session, our speaker chaired, role of parliaments in enhancing public trust and governance.
Indeed.
But this is the key.
Yeah.
Being too partisan.
Yeah, quite.
So there's a lot wrong, as it were, with Parliament right now to have that trust in governance, isn't it? Even over here, when the parliamentarians, our National Assembly members, when they were given cars and all the things, everybody, a good number of critics were like, oh, you are in there just for yourselves, stuff like that. So yes, it is extremely important to have this institution working, just as it is important for all the institutions to work. It is these institutional weaknesses. See, this is what Barra said in his speech when I inherited institutional weaknesses and all the rest of it. We are not sure how far the strengthening has come. How far has it come? I do not know about that. But this is the key. There are just too many things obstructing effective and efficient of use of our parliament.
Thank you for that, Mr. Ambrose. Story number 9 will take us back here in the Gambia, and some members from the NPP went to China, and here's some of what occurred.
The session was led by representatives from the Institute of Women's Studies and the All China Women's Federation. The presentation provided a comprehensive overview of China's framework for women's development, emphasizing the institutional mechanisms and safeguards designed to promote and strengthen women's participation in political life. Women's political participation is widely recognized as essential to ensuring that policies and decision-making processes reflect the experiences, perspectives, and interests of both women and men.
We have learned a lot from our visit, and hopefully we will do our best to educate our fellow members about what we have been taught. I have seen how women are respected and empowered, and the importance they give to grassroots women politicians. Additionally, I have realized to become a politician, you must be educated, which is very different from back home.
Very different from back home. Also very different from back home is, of course, China's system. It's a one-party state, no matter which way they dress it up. It's not that here yet, or it's certainly not that here. So how much can we learn from China in terms of governance? As I said, there's party cadres, from the NPP went there. There were some higher education ministry people, and some people from the university were there as well. But the majority, 90+%, were members of NPP who went there to learn from how China does its thing. Mr. Ambrose, can we learn from them? Governance?
Yes, because one must be careful what to learn, as it were. When the lady there said that they had learned a lot, I wanted to know, like what? What did you
talked
learn?
About education, that the women who were promoted in political situations were educated and so on.
Because of the different histories.
Yeah, sure.
So now, what is transferable?
Yeah, it's kind of the question I'm getting at.
Absolutely, thinking along those lines. Yes, we hear, I know certainly that the organizational acumen, we should learn so much from them.
Indeed.
When it comes to discipline, you've got to learn so much from them. But with us, we want a multi-party democracy.
Indeed.
So I should be very careful, really, what I'm learning. But otherwise, there's so much we want to learn from the Chinese. We've been sending now people to China, and when they return, they all talk about it. The society is so disciplined, so this, so that, glowing terms. Then I said to them, what have you learned? Will you start implementing here? So this is weird though.
Yeah.
Within a week or two, you've forgotten about it. It hasn't penetrated, as it were.
Almost as if it's good for them, it's great for them.
It's great for
but
them.
It's not great for
but
us.
we are different.
Yeah, quite.
This kind of exceptionalism you
Yeah.
hear when most people talk. Oh, but you know, we are Africans. Oh, we are this. Or you run away from one set of stereotypes, then you land yourself into another set of stereotypes, which is still retarding you.
Yeah, quite. Shocking. Thank you for that, Mr.
Shocking.
Ambush.
But that's it. So the challenge is the same.
Yeah.
The social norms with women's participation. We've talked about this so
Endless.
many times.
Yeah, sure.
That's it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for that. Our final story. Story number 10. World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought, commemorated on the 17th of June annually, including, of course, this year. Have a look, have a listen.
This year's theme: Rangelands, Recognize, Respect, Restore, highlights the importance of rangelands in supporting food security, climate resilience, biodiversity, and the livelihoods of billions of people across the globe. Rangelands are vast open landscapes covered by native vegetation, and it covers more than half of the Earth's land surface and are vital to farming and livestock production.
Yet up to 50% of the world's rangelands are now degraded or at risk. These conditions threaten the global food system, harm local livelihoods, reduce biodiversity, and increase greenhouse gas emissions. On this World Day of Combat Desertification and Drought, we are issuing an urgent call to recognize and respect the world's rangelands. This means investing in restoration, especially water security.
Mr. Ambush, one of the reasons why I've always tried to get us to commemorate these International UN Days is because I want to kind of stimulate a conversation in the team, the news team, as in, and so what? Combating desertification and drought. Are you reaching the communities who are the ones doing it? Are you reaching the governments? Are you reaching the organizations who might be cutting down trees for timber and so on? It's one day. You commemorate the day, you have a speech from the UN Secretary General, and then you move on. And, you know, as you said in another context, what next? When you've done this, you've agreed on this, what next? And that's the big challenge, isn't it?
Absolutely. But for me, maybe the positive point I will make about it is that it focuses attention to some extent, because it made me go on, actually, what is the situation like in the Gambia?
Sure.
So I think that changes it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Once it enters your head, maybe before you've not thought about it.
Because they do say the day is to raise awareness
To raise
of the
awareness,
issue.
absolutely.
Yes, not to solve it necessarily.
It's not going to work, but you get the logic.
Yeah, quite.
You know, there are so many international days, commemorations, and most of them you don't really think about it
On that day.
until you're marking it. Then you sort of thinking about it. Can you imagine kids thinking about it and being inspired to go and do whatever you just never know? So this is the key. Now Gambia is interesting because when the Secretary General
Guterres,
who said about 60% as it were degraded.
Yeah.
Well, look, in the Gambia we are told that about 70% of forests show one or more forms of degradation.
Well, indeed.
You know, 100,000 hectares of forest were lost between 1998 and 2009. These are according to certain statistics.
And we did a story quoting those stats. Absolutely. Yes.
That's it. So this is really what we face. And more than 90% of bushfires are linked to human activities. So when we look around, what is it that we can do? For instance, being linked to human activities, the bushfires. What can we do to stop that? You know what I mean? So this is it. This is the picture. We are all suffering, and we rely so much on agriculture.
Sure.
See, this is really where the connection is. Environmental degradation directly affects livelihoods and food security.
This is it.
So it is about life in the end. It might seem remote. Oh no, it isn't. We are experiencing some of the effects right now.
Very much. Yes, very much. Mr. Ambush, producer tells me they'll yank my mic if I don't end it now. And so thank you for your interjections. And to you, the viewers, thank you for watching. Until we come your way again next week, goodbye.